On the air and all that stuff then? Yeah, okay, good. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Tilling Park Zoning Board of Appeals. This is the November 8th session. We have one hearing to consider tonight, so why don't we all stand and do the pledge to start with. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Just a quick little bit of housekeeping. I know that you folks had the sign out and it's been returned, and there was proper notice posted. This is the Tribune's letter. Okay?
Yes.
All right. May we start with a roll call, please?
Paschek.
Here.
Vargas. Fritz. Bettenhausen.
Here.
Gaskell.
Here.
Schuck.
Here.
Sepisi.
Yes, here. Okay, first item we're going to do is we're going to approve the minutes of the last meeting, which are on your screens. Does anybody want to entertain a motion to?
I'll move to approve the minutes with the amendment to strike the name Michael Fitzgerald from members present at the last meeting.
Okay.
That was obviously a typo.
Those of you, Michael was a former member who had resigned and he somehow got back in the queue. All we're doing is a housekeeping measure, that's all.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. All those in favor of approving the minutes of the last session, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Moving right along, we have one hearing to deal with tonight, and that is, give me 1 second here. Somehow, I think it was moved. Or if you were dry now. We have one hearing to consider tonight, and it is a public hearing. Oh wait, I'm still working with the minutes. I'm sorry. I
Yeah,
apologize.
I'm struggling here too.
Yeah. All right.
Then there are applications in here,
Yes, we have an application to deal with.
but we don't have the motion or the...
Okay, well, a motion, I'm going to read this item to you now because this concerns tonight's hearing. A motion was made by the Zoning Board of Appeals, Commissioner Gaskell. Nope, that's not even it either.
No, it's not in there. We're missing a page.
For what are you missing?
Here it is. I got the application. We can work off of that.
Yep.
Are you looking for the staff report in there?
No, I was looking
Just
for the actual
open the public hearing.
Initial hearing request.
I think you just take a motion, entertain a motion to, I'll move to open a public hearing on the property, for a public hearing on the property at 16421 Ridgeland Avenue for a variance, for a front yard variance setback.
Okay, that'll work.
Second.
Second, okay. All those in favor of opening the hearing, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we can move on now. Basically, Mr. and Mrs. Wyma are seeking a variance for a fence construction at 16421 South Ridgeland Avenue in Tinley Park. Looks like all documentation has been filed. Looks like we're ready to go on it. So why don't we first, before we actually have Dan do his report. Folks, are you both going to speak tonight?
Go ahead.
Okay, whoever's going to speak, let's just have you stand for a minute. And I want to get you sworn in if you'll just raise your right hand.
Tells me what to do, I figured I'll just stop.
Okay, do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give to this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but?
I do.
Thank you very much. You can be seated again for a few minutes. We're going to start with Dan and let him do his whole thing here.
So, yeah, this variation's for George and Susan Wyma. They're located at 16421 Ridgeland Avenue. They are seeking a 20-foot fence variation from Section 3J, which are fence regulations in the zoning code. They're requesting a 5-foot tall open design chain link fence that extend 20 feet into the required secondary front yard. The existing home that's out there encroaches 12 feet into the required 40-foot setback, and then they're basically asking to go an additional 8 feet from where the existing home setback is. Normal quick recap of corner fence variations. Obviously, there's been some changes to the code that happened within the last year. These allowed for some non-conforming situations. This isn't one of those, but there's a number of those out there if you're looking around neighborhoods that used to comply to the codes that no longer do, and they would be required to come into conformance when they replace those fences. We typically ask in regards to a hard shot if there's a physical property concern or issue that stops them from meeting the code. Basically, the question from the hardship is, can you meet the code without a variation? And usually if the answer is yes, usually the answer is that no, there's not a hardship there. The corner code requirements apply to all corner lots, so just a reminder, the corner lot, being a corner lot in and of itself is not a hardship, since the code applies evenly to all corner lots. So, for a quick recap on corner fences. So here is the existing lot and the existing house on that lot. It's a 20,500 square foot lot with a single story ranch home on it. It's located in the Kimberly Heights subdivision, which is the northwest corner of town. This is at the corner of Ridgeland Avenue and then Kimberly Drive in the Kimberly Heights subdivision. The property has an existing shed, a patio, a pool, and a deck in the rear yard of the property. The pool and the deck were constructed this year. I think the deck even just weeks ago. I think I still saw it under construction. So that stuff's been constructed this year. The fencing, when they put in the pool, was discussed with the petitioner at that time. They decided to fence around the pool and then have a latching gate, which is an alternative option to fencing basically your yard for safety reasons. So the pool was required to be set back behind the home. It appears it's about 1 foot from the setback of the home. The petitioners did have a previous variation in 2014, so they were approved for a fence that did go 20 feet in, similar to what they're requesting here, except for it only fenced in about 750 square feet of space in their backyard just around their patio. So that went 8 feet from their house. That was a 4-foot chain link fence at that time. It was approved on the basis that it was a small area. It didn't encroach towards their neighbor's house, really. It didn't go all the way east there to their neighbor and touch their neighbor's property line, and it was a relatively small area that they were fencing in on that lot. Here's a picture looking northwest, kind of from their neighbor's property to the east of their lot. You can see the pool there, as well as, it's hard to see, but the existing fence is there and the deck that's under construction now. And then here's looking towards that neighbor's house to the east of their property. Again, with the existing fence and then the pool and the deck. The existing zoning on this lot is R1. All properties surrounding this are single-family residential properties. To the north and to the east are R1 single-family properties that are in the village. In the Kimberly Heights subdivision, to the south of this is a house in the same subdivision, but in Cook County and not annexed into the village yet. And then to the west of this is the Tinley Terrace subdivision, and those are zoned R4 on the other side of Ridgeland. So as a quick background, a Kimberly Heights neighborhood, it was developed in the county, so there are some kind of unique things you see out there, not in our normal subdivision. About 2/3 of the subdivision has been annexed since 2000. The county kind of promoted this too and provided some matching grants for us to upgrade drainage out there, put in water lines, sewer lines, things like that these homes could tie into. It was all voluntary. Again, 2/3 wanted to come in. There's another 1/3 of properties that are still out there that haven't come into the village. As a typical policy, I think the village hasn't really forcibly annexed many residential properties in their past. So I think that's the reason why that they're still kind of hanging out there and kind of spotty. So this lot is 20,500 square feet. That is below the typical requirement in an R1 subdivision for a corner lot, which is required to be 2,500 square feet. So it's 4,500 square feet smaller. And then the lot width is typically required to be 125 square feet, where this is only 100 square feet. So that's typical in older subdivisions like this. They didn't necessarily make the corner lots bigger, but it does kind of lessen their backyard space, their usable backyard space, when you factor in that they have 2 front yards on their property. So it's still, they still have backyard space, but it's a little bit smaller than if they were like an interior lot in terms of usable backyard space. So the petitioner's proposal is up here. So they have 8 feet. They are extending 8 feet from their existing home to the south, or to the left on the screen on the picture here. It's a 5-foot tall chain link fence, and again, 8 feet from the house. The house is 12 feet into the required setback, so total is 20 feet there. This would follow the existing fence line that they have out there now from the 2014 variation that only did that 700, basically went around their patio out there. So it'd follow that same fence line, but continue all the way east to their neighbor, to the property line that they share with their neighbor. They are requesting this due to security concerns. I believe they have grandchildren, and then they have the pool and the deck out there. So I think they're trying to fence in their yard and have this all be backyard space. This would also give them the option then to remove the fencing around the pool, and the latching gates and everything that they have to have if they don't have the fence up. And it's required to be a 5-foot fence for a pool, not a 4-foot. Again, if the fence did follow the setback line of the home, which they would be able to do up to a 6-foot fence, and they'd be able to do a privacy fence even if they wanted to. That would be about a foot from the pool, maybe even less. So their concern is having the fence so close to the pool and kind of having a no man's land back there that's difficult to get to, as well as they've shown that there's few visibility concerns out there in regards to their driveway or their neighbor's driveway. Again, Kimberly Heights being kind of a unique area that was developed in the county, there's no sidewalks out there. And then there's even additional right-of-way width there just because there's drainage swales instead of storm sewers. So there's some additional space that's kind of out there when you're reversing from a driveway. There's also no visibility concerns at that intersection of Kimberly Drive and then Ridgeland. As a follow-up, so typically the fence regulations, again, require that the fence be set back to the required setback line. If an existing home encroaches into the required setback, you can put the fence up to the edge of that house. And that's up to a 6-foot privacy fence, as long as there's no visibility concerns. Through an administrative approval, you can go 10 feet into the required setback, so we can approve that. That would have to be a 4-foot maximum height open design fence, and then they're not allowed to be chain link. So in that situation, because it becomes more visible on the corner, typically the chain link isn't approved to go that extra 10 feet. So typically it would either be a wrought iron aluminum fence or a PVC or a wood semi-privacy, where you'd have a board and then a space equal that size, and then another board, or a picket step fence would work as well. So it just, I guess, open items and kind of alternatives to the petitioner's approval here are that they can set the fence back again to that property line, but they kind of have a no man's land, and it's really close to the pool wall. But they could do landscaping or some kind of rock or stone over there, and they could do up to a 6-foot fence. So maybe then you can't jump from the pool over the fence or anything like that. The encroachment as well, so they're asking for 8 feet out from the house now. They could do something smaller than that and still allow them some space between the pool and the pool wall. So a staff recommendation is maybe reducing that to 4 feet, which would give them about 5 feet between the fence and the pool wall. So just an option to kind of reduce the variation to the smallest extent possible, but still accomplish what they're looking for. And then kind of our third open item or question or option that we're posing to you guys is the materials. So chain link fencing usually is preferred aesthetically on corner lots. It is open design, so that's good. You can see through it. But again, typically the recommendation is either aluminum wrought iron fencing or some type of PVC or wood fencing that has enough transparency, that 50% transparency that we're looking for. So that way you still have some visibility at the corners of the fence. So that, I believe, is it for our staff report.
Does anybody have any questions before we move on to the petitioners? Dan, I have one. Can we go back to the drawing? If you look at the last 10 feet, according with the neighbors where the swale is, it says that there's a utility easement in that. Is that going to be a problem?
No, fences are the one thing that you can basically put in a utility or a drainage easement. So it gives any company the right to basically take down your fence if they need to. But it's pretty typical that fences go in drainage and utility easements.
Are there any existing utility poles or phone boxes there?
I was going to say, I know there's overhead lines that run kind of back there, but I didn't see any actual poles right around there.
Yeah, it looks like they actually run parallel,
Yeah.
and it's to the house, so.
I didn't see any posts or anything that would immediately become an issue at that corner.
Okay. Any other questions for the moment? Dan, would you like to tell us a little bit about what you're trying to do here?
We kind of had to put the pool where it was because we couldn't move it over anymore, because then we've got ComEd lines that go right to the back corner of the house. You know, I don't know how to describe it.
Mm-hmm.
It's on the house, part of the house that sticks out, it's on the left-hand side, the box. So we didn't want to put the pool over utility lines. So, and there's like a dozen kids in the neighborhood, and we felt more comfortable to keep kids who I didn't want near the pool away from the pool. I just don't think the fencing around the pool alone is enough. I'm not comfortable with that. And with the grandkids, they're with us every day during the summer because mom and dad work. And this way, it's a safe place. I can keep them locked in the backyard because we keep locks on all the gates. So this would be the easiest way. We just want to continue on where that one fence sticks out and just go all the way down. And there is we have no trees or anything, so it doesn't block any view when cars come around the corner, anything like that. It's wide open there. I don't know if you have any questions.
Is there anything else you wanted to say?
No, I think that's all. Anything else, dear?
We wanted to go with the vinyl chain link fence, and we couldn't stop before the easement. They were on this.
Okay, yeah, we are going to do the vinyl chain link, and we were going to just bring it down up to the easement, but then we were told by someone in the planning department they preferred you went right to the lot line. And we can do it either way. We don't care either way, you know.
We would, just for future reference purposes of property lines, we always recommend you go to the
property line.
Because
yeah.
then, even if you get along with your neighbor now, that when someone buys that house, they assume that's their property and they plant stuff there, and it becomes headaches for us in the future. So we always recommend you don't.
Well, that's why we brought it to the property line, yeah. So I'm like, it didn't matter to us one way or the other. We're trying to stay out of the easement. I'm sorry, what?
John,
I do have
Okay.
on the picture, I'm not seeing it tying to a fence to the house on the east. The house, the White House to the east does not appear to have a fence except for behind its garage.
You're
Correct,
talking
they're
about,
running a new fence on that.
So they would run the fence to the north.
yeah, there's, the neighbors on the other side of us have a fence. So we would bring it up and hook to theirs, and then
Okay, I
from the back of the
misunderstood.
house, we're going across to hook up to their fence.
Yeah, which that portion of it, kind of there going north, would be allowed. You're allowed to run it on your property line there. So it's just that part that sticks out into their secondary front yard. You said you guys would be open to PVC or something? or-
No, we really wanted the vinyl chain link to leave it open.
Okay.
We don't want to block anybody's view. I feel if you do PVC, you're kind of doing that, aren't you, a little bit? But, I mean,
Yeah,
there's still a lot of
mean,
land
typically
there,
we
but,
do like openings where it's still 50% open, so you'd have a board and then, a 6-inch board and then a 6-inch space.
well, I don't like it too
Well, we
wide.
got a
Little chihuahua and, yeah.
I sort of have another concern about that too.
Yeah.
That's because chain link fence, no matter how tall it is climbable. Past experience will tell you that when I was a kid.
Okay.
And I know you folks are gonna be there with your grandkids stuff, but if you go away or you leave the home for any length of time, your pool could get used.
Oh,
And
okay.
if someone climbs the fence and climbs into the pool, unfortunately, the liability falls upon you. And so this is why, I'm not a fan of chain link fence in any residential situation at all. I mean, if that's what you're gonna do, it's what you're gonna do. But the fences that Dan is describing, a lot of them have situations for the little dogs. I'm a dog rescuer, I mean, this is one of the things we look at when we do home visits, is what kind of fence construction can the dog get out? And we have recommendations for what you can do about that.
Okay.
And the wrought iron aluminum always looks the best, but it is usually the most expensive, so
Yes,
it's
it is.
usually a trade-off there. Does PVC or wood, which you want to go with, or do you want to pay the extra? The aluminum ones can, get that spacing down really small, and then it also.
So when you're
allows-
talking about wood, you're not talking about like the dog ear where it's completely enclosed?
No, not the stockade, no.
Okay, all right.
Right, or, just having spacing in between there. If you do
Just a
the wrought
space in
iron
between.
aluminum, it's like the thin posts that are about that big, and it's like a black aluminum wrought iron looking fence.
I gotcha. Okay, yeah. I know what you mean.
Does
So
anyone
again, that's
else
up
have
to
any
the
questions or-
ZBA if they feel that's
Yeah.
necessary or not. Those were just some suggestions. we
Okay.
had.
Have you guys got questions or concerns?
What chain link isn't available to them, the vinyl chain link wouldn't be either. Correct?
I'm talking like vinyl, like,
Well, she's talking the chain link fence coated in vinyl, correct?
Yes.
correct, yeah.
So it
that's
looks
what-
just like a chain link fence, other than
Yeah, the chain, well, it's whatever you guys end up approving. Typically, any chain link, whether it's vinyl or aluminum,
It's chain link.
it's chain link, and
Right.
it wouldn't be allowed to encroach. So it's more the look of chain link, not anything to do, but it's better that it doesn't rust, but outside of that, it still looks like a chain link fence.
right.
So the PVC that we're talking about is more like you do something where you'd have the 6-inch board and then a 6-inch space, or a picket style fence where you could do 3-inch
But they've got a
boards.
small dog, so a 6-inch space.
Well, you could do a 3-inch board and a 3-inch space or something like that. I mean, they have different options that you can do in terms of the board size and the spacing.
That's a horribly big business now.
You were talking, Dan, though, about, not the vinyl, but what did you call it? It looks like wrought iron, but it's not.
It's made of
aluminum.
aluminum, but it
Right.
looks like wrought iron.
And coated,
I'd say. Yeah, that's
And that's
usually
the
the
little
best
poles,
looking.
little
but
poles
it's-
about 4 inches apart, type
Yep.
of thing, right?
Yeah, the poles are only about a half an inch, and then
Mhm.
you can do them about 3 or 4 inches apart.
There is expensive.
It is the most expensive.
I like those.
But those are usually the best looking. They last the longest. They don't heat as much as with aluminum fences. So.
Mr. Wong, did you have something you wanted to ask?
Well, I just want to make sure that the fence is open enough so the police driving around can see in my backyard. That's a concern for us. Is anybody in the backyard that can't be seen by the police or neighbors. I don't want them breaking in my house. We've had that happen in Tinley Park on Edgebrook. We put up PVC fence and it blocked the neighbor's view, and they came in our basement window and nobody knew it. And they had days to play around in there. And I don't want that to happen again. Lived through that once is enough. And that's why I went with the vinyl chain link fence, so we didn't have rust. Our neighbors could watch our house, they all do. And the police can't going through. I don't want somebody hiding in the bushes in the backyard, you know, breaking into the house.
Okay, currently, your access to your pool is by a locked staircase.
Yes. up
You
there, right
will
now.
retain that locked staircase?
Oh, yes.
So if someone wants to go in the pool, they'd have to climb the fence and then get through the locked staircase?
Yes,
Yes.
we're putting the gate up in the spring. We got the deck built, but the contractor, well, actually, it's my neighbor's doing it for me. He's gonna come over and finish that when the weather permits and put a latching gate on it. I think that's required by the code.
Yeah.
We have to have it on there.
Yeah, we have a,
Latching, not locked, but yes.
But we're putting a
well, we're putting a lock on it, yeah.
Because we have 19 grandkids, and they're all from, Jimmy, I'm gonna say 4 to 21, so it could get crowded. I don't want kids going in the pool if we're not there. You know, at least I'm trying the best I can do.
I guess just the options we're giving are still, we're still trying to keep that transparency because we like that too. It allows visibility at driveways and at corners.
Right.
And it doesn't make it as,
Well, what's nice is
Dominant is a
it's
privacy.
wide open, you know.
and most of the lots, I guess, like Kimberly, are either don't have a fence or have that open style. So
Right.
we think that's a good thing, just giving some other options for
Well, we
what you
all
could
watch
do
one another's
still.
homes, you know what I mean, so, yeah.
That fence that's there, how far from the house is that? The
8 feet,
the one that's already there, and that's chain link?
yes.
And how
That's-
far back did it go? Did it go all the way back to
No,
the?
it only
No.
goes to the end of the building.
Yes.
covered their deck.
We just wanted enough space for the Chihuahua where we could watch it. We had 2 of them, and I didn't want them behind the house. We can't see a coyote jumps the fence. We have a lot of them over there. So we were concerned if we can't see the dog, we just wanted that little fence to fence them in. But now with the kids in the pool, it just seems like it would be more feasible to fence the yard in the best we can to keep people out, but I didn't want to block the view of the house and the backyard from the neighbors or the police. It's just a safety concern for me.
Yeah, and we didn't want, we don't want other neighborhood kids wandering near the pool. The way it is wide open, there's at least a dozen kids in the neighborhood, and they all come to my house to play, but I didn't want them wandering by the pool. I'd rather have the locked fence to keep, you know, everybody away from it unless I'm out there and I know they're in it, so.
I mean, we'll put up whatever fence you decide,
Yeah.
unless it's expensive. When I'm on a fixed income disabled, I can't afford it, I can't afford it. But I'll go with what you recommend if it's reasonable, and I can do it. I think my charge cards are about maxed out, but we can figure something out maybe.
We'll let you use one of Dan's cards.
I'll appreciate that. I'll go with that expensive fence then.
Give me lots of reward points.
Are you going to remove the existing fence then, or are
Yes.
you gonna tie into the existing?
No,
No,
we're
it
gonna
has to
take
be
that
5
down.
feet high.
Yeah.
Just so I'm clear.
Okay, are there any other questions or comments by anyone before we close the hearing and do the discussion vote? Hearing none, I need a motion to close the hearing.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, all in favor of closing the hearing, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Now, to get discussion going, we'll need a motion from someone to accept this. Somebody want to read a motion?
There's a motion in here somewhere.
I'll move to recommend to the village board grant a 20-foot variation to the petitioners George and Susan Wyma from section 3.j fence regulations of the zoning ordinance to permit a 5-foot tall, open design fence to extend 20 feet into the required secondary front yard and 8 feet from the home's existing setback where a fence encroachment is not permitted at 16421 South Ridgeland Avenue in the R1 Single Family Residential Zoning District, consistent with the list of submitted plans as attached herein and adopted findings of fact as proposed by village staff and as may be amended by the Zoning Board of Appeals at this meeting.
With the following conditions.
Yes, sir.
Now, does anybody have any conditions that they would like to add? Okay, I just have one. I really would like to ask that you consider different forms of fencing other than chain link. I fully understand the expense involved, and that might become cost prohibitive, but before you just put chain link up, if you could take a look and explore other avenues, that would be good. But I'm not gonna tie you to it.
We're not excluding the chain link fence.
Right. I'm
Okay.
just saying, if you could make an effort to see something that would be a better alternative. Yeah. We're not gonna handcuff you. Okay? So the motion's been made,
Second.
seconded, okay. Do we have any other comments by anybody in the room before we go ahead and call them? Barbara, would you?
Piaschek,
Aye.
Bettenhausen,
Aye.
Shuck. Aye. Gaskell,
Aye.
Chairman Suppesi.
Aye. Okay, what we have here is we have an unanimous vote. Your petition has been accepted at this committee. And that doesn't mean go out and start digging holes, put the fence up. You're going to have to let this go through the village board also. Will this be the next meeting now, Dan? Will this get on?
December 4th.
December 4th.
The December 4th meeting, the village board is going to consider your motion, but because you're a unanimous vote here, there'll only be one consideration that will vote on it, and then you're taken off and building right after that.
And then, in the meantime, I'll call a couple of fence places and get the different quotes and designs. My main concern, though, so you all understand, I do not want to put up a privacy fence. that
Exactly. And we
limits
applaud
our
you for that.
security, you know. I've had that happen one time, right here in Dingley.
Yeah.
We've lived here 35 years, we like it. I just don't want nobody coming in my house while I'm sleeping at night.
I think
This
the aluminum-
variation won't even allow a privacy fence, so it would have
Okay,
to be
as long as
open.
it's open and my dog can't get away.
Sure.
We've had her 13
Right.
years, I don't need her gone. So I will check on some other fences.
We
Like
appreciate
I
that.
say, the biggest thing was chain link was the most feasible for us money-wise, so that's why we went with it.
Right.
Okay.
But we'll see.
Well, yeah, just take a look and see if you can find something that you can handle and,
Yeah, quotes are usually free to get, so it's always good getting more quotes anyways, because it could lead you to saving more money anyways.
Yeah,
So
I'll
we
do
always
that.
recommend get at least 3.
You know, I'm just concerned about, like you said, if you can see through it, I'm thinking my dog could get through it. That's running through my head right now, so I have to see the fence.
I have the aluminum style, and I've had 2 little puppies that were no big deal.
Well, that's the most expensive, right?
No, I don't think so. I think the board type in the PVC is more expensive than that. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think.
I did it a long time ago.
Yeah, I don't. Typically, the aluminum ones are more expensive, but I guess it depends what style, where you're getting it from,
And how many
so,
they're
so you
selling.
can look into it.
Okay. Yeah, we'll do
you know, if
that.
they're selling a lot, the price is going up, you know?
Yeah, depends where it's at and where you get it from. So.
We'll leave that to you and staff.
That's right. So that's the best we've got for you. Good luck to you.
Okay,
December 8th,
4th.
4th.
December 4th is your day.
We'll send you
day
a
with the
follow-up
village board.
email and we'll
I
talk to you
appreciate
guys.
everybody taking their time. for us.
Okay, when
I'll
you
send
have
you
the,
your check
when you
tomorrow.
have the inaugural party for the yard, whatever.
Thank you.
We'll do that, folks. You're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting. It's so exciting.
Thank you.
I think it's better, yeah.
There's nobody.
Take care now. Good night.
Thank you.
Okay, does anybody have any other business before us before we go to the order? Okay, Dan, have you got something for us?
Not much. The next meeting is canceled because it's Thanksgiving and we didn't, I wasn't gonna bring turkey and all the fixings here and stuff, so we'll let you spend it with your family. So the November 22nd is canceled, so we'll see everyone in December. The boulevard, better known as South Street, was approved by the village board on Tuesday. So that has its final approval for the development and the incentive. Bremen Station is still working on their plans. They had a workshop, but it's kind of been on pause while they try and figure some stuff out with the plans and with the incentive. But that should be coming back forward for a public hearing soon. So stuff going on in the downtown. Same with the plazas moving forward, and they're still looking at moving dirt in spring for the Harmony Square Plaza that's down there. The last variation that was before you guys, which was 8736 Brown Lane, Kelly Cupa, that was approved by the village board as well on Tuesday. So that has its final approval. I'm gonna go and take pictures of a few of the projects you guys have approved, just to kind of show you guys what was approved, what it looks like now. So maybe at the next meeting or something, I'll have that. So just so you guys can see what you are approving and see the effects of it, look at the visibility. So
I really dread the construction beginning on the boulevard.
what's that?
I just dread the beginning of the construction on the boulevard. There's just not enough street there.
Yeah, it's pretty tight. So some of the phasing of that and stuff, we've already talked to them about it, and once they actually get contractors, it'll become even more specific in terms of, because they're actually doing street work and on-street parking and stuff like that. So, and especially with some of the businesses that are right around there. So we'll keep that all in mind. But yeah, it's not gonna be the simplest. So.
I'm sure Adamski's are real happy with this. Okay, well, if that's all we've got, then I will entertain a motion to close.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor,
Aye.
say aye.
Aye.
Okay, all opposed? Okay, let's all go in the snow. Thank you very much.
Shut myself out.
He was asked, do you